Hey everybody, it's Ron Bass with another edition of Soar High Personal Development, or
Ron's Mixed Bag. Back at it again.
Back at
I'm
it
so
again.
excited to be back. Oh man.
Isn't there a song like that? Like Here We Are Again, or Here We Go Again? Or
Yeah,
something?
here we go again. Here we go. Yeah, it's right. I forget.
Gavin Huntley, our executive producer.
Hello, that's me.
For Soar High Records and Soar High Personal Development.
Yep.
And man of many hats.
Many hats.
Executive producer, music guy, artist, performer, producer of our shows.
Professional problem solver.
Professional problem solver.
That's going to be on any resume that if I were to ever make a resume again, it would be professional problem solver.
Perfect. Well, there's nothing like being able to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling somebody at the gym today, I said, man, they were complaining about something. I said, look, every day you're going to have challenges. I don't care who you are, how famous, how rich, how successful, how strong, does not matter. You're going to be faced every single day with challenges,
Problems.
conundrums, problems. And the secret is to be able to handle them, manage them, adjust, and move forward. You're never going to be at a point in life where it's perfect. There's only one thing perfect, that's God. We are not God.
Mm-hmm.
We are in His image, but we are not God.
No.
And so I think about that every day when I'm working out. It's like, because working out is so important. I know we talk about it a lot, but it gives you a lot of, helps your mental, helps your brain, helps your mental, helps your physical, helps you sleep better, helps you feel better, just generally.
Right.
And gives you a lot of strength, I think, to fight off these demons that are going to come your way. They're going to come your way every day.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care who you are. People can delude themselves and think that's not going to be the case, but that is the case.
Every day.
Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, but kind of the general theme is going to be fear.
Okay.
Fear of what? Fear of speaking.
Failure. That's the first one that always
Okay,
comes
fear
to
of
mind.
failure is a big one. Fear of speaking.
Speaking is always
A lot of people don't know how to get in front of a crowd.
Right. Or
That's a big deal.
Or even just have a conversation with someone.
Even have a conversation. Or like in a business setting, perhaps you're like a worker and you get promoted and you have to talk to the other people in the company and you're scared.
Right.
And I get it. A lot of it comes down, I think the psychology is that you're afraid that you're going to look silly, you're going to embarrass yourself, you're not going to be impressive enough. And that's why a lot of people don't move forward in their lives, because of the fear of
failure. That's
crazy.
It all comes, it all is, there's a lot of pressure on
ourselves.
Yeah.
We put on ourselves.
Yeah. It's all.
To being perfect.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about trying to be perfect. What does that mean? What's the psychology of that, my friend? Why are people perfectionists? What is that? What's the psychology behind that?
I find perfection, because I'm a perfectionist.
I know you are. What's the psychology behind it?
It depends. It's like, I think that it depends on how you think about it, because I find...
No, there's some very specific psychology. What is it?
You got, if you don't hit your mark, then you're not good enough. Even if you come just short, you're still not good enough.
So what it really is, it's the fear of failure.
Yeah.
That's why people are perfectionists.
The fear of not being enough.
Yeah, not being enough. That's right. And so what you
non-satisfactory.
You have to it's okay to be a perfectionist, but you have to modify it to some degree, or you would drive yourself absolutely cuckoo.
Which, how I think about it, AK actually told me this, Chauncey, one of my artists, he said that perfection lies within imperfection.
Fair enough.
You need to find that perfect sound or that perfect feeling within that imperfection. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. But there again, I would just encourage the listeners to, when you think about trying to be perfect, there is no perfect.
No.
It's good. What I think about is always trying to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I fail, to me, it's like an opportunity to figure out what I did wrong and then go at it again with some more information, some better data, so that I can find a way to improve myself and be better at it the next time.
Mm-hmm. Whether
it's something I do every day or every once in a while, it doesn't matter. It's the idea that every time that I go for that goal again, or that movement again, or whatever I'm doing, I can be better at it. But I'm not going to beat myself up, which is what a lot of perfectionists do. If they don't get it exactly right, they go crazy.
Yep.
And that's just not healthy. I'm sorry. It's just not healthy. But we'll kind of go down the list here a little bit. The fear of performing is another one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're in the entertainment business. Tell me how you feel about that.
That it all stems, like you said, from the fear of failure, but specifically the fear of performing is like, you get up there and you're like, I'm going to forget my words.
I'm going to forget my words.
I'm going to look silly.
I'm going to look silly.
Goofy.
So there's the sense of embarrassment.
Stage fright, just in
Stage
general.
fright, yeah.
Just in general, being in front of a crowd.
A couple of stories about stage fright or speaking in front of a group of people. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of England way back in World War II. I read an article that he used to drink, like he'd have a cup of coffee, but he would put liquor in it, and he would drink a little bit before he went up and give a speech.
Yeah.
Now, I don't agree with that, but I understand it. I get it. A lot of people that perform in martial arts or bodybuilding, they'll smoke some grass, or they'll maybe even, I've heard even some of them will drink or do drugs. I don't agree with that either. But you need to learn how to do this without drugs and without alcohol. You have to learn to be able to get in front of a group of people or get on a stage and find a way to do it without the assistance of that, in my opinion.
I will say sometimes, like for me personally, I use it as like...
What's the tranquilizer?
Well, yeah...
It calms you down.
Yeah, it's more like calming, like, but every time, if you've ever noticed it, every time I go on to host a show, the first time I get on stage, I have a drink in my hand, usually, and I will make a toast.
And I see where you're coming from, but I don't think that's a good policy, is my opinion.
Right, and
because then you're never going to be 100% with yourself.
Right. And
you're never going to be like facing your fears head on. You're going to use that as a crutch.
Well, the thing is I've already faced the fear. I've already done it. I can go up there sober as a bird.
Then you should.
And I have.
Now, maybe as the show
It's
goes,
just not as
maybe
fun.
as the show goes along, you could drink. I would not do it at the beginning, in my opinion, because it'd be like me doing a competition, which I do, as you know, and getting high before I do the competition. No, I'm going to face it in an uncomfortable setting, and then after I engage, what happens?
It's true.
What happens after I engage a little bit? Well, after I'm in there for a minute or two, you tell me what happens.
You start to
calm
start
down,
to feel it. Yeah,
and you start feeling more comfortable,
Yeah.
and it's okay. So, like my black belt taught me years ago, Luis Rubalcaba, in the martial arts, in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community, face your fears head on, and you will get out of your own prison. If you don't, we have an artist that, we actually have somebody that works for us that's in our management team, and she always talks about wanting to, she can't get on stage without drinking. And it's like, come on, man, you have to learn how to do that. You can't, you're kidding yourself. You're not doing yourself justice.
I agree.
And I'm not preaching, I'm analyzing. And I'm using my understanding of psychology to analyze it and to explain it. So it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be fearful. It's okay every time you make a new decision to be afraid that it's the right decision. But you have to learn to face it head on and be honest with yourself. When you look in the mirror, you have to look in the mirror and say, okay, I like myself, I don't like myself. I like this about myself, I don't like that about myself. It's okay to be unhappy, but you have to find ways to overturn that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go down the list a little bit further here. The fear of, and I think, the fear of competing, like sports, any kind of sports. Like I do jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu competition, and in the beginning, it was terrifying.
Right.
I told my coach, I can't do this. You have to do it, Ron. Face your fears, face your fears. And over the course of time, the more that I have competed, the more comfortable I've become with the process. So you sort of desensitize yourself to that eventually. Not 100%. I'm still nervous when I go in, but
Right.
I'm not as nervous, not as often. Used to be the whole week before a competition, I was nervous. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, didn't feel right. Now it's more like maybe a few hours before the competition, I start feeling a little nervous.
That's how the shows are,
Same thing.
Like, it used to be the whole week. It's like,
When you say shows, you're talking about the
performances.
For the people out there to know, we're in the music business. Soar High Records.
Yeah,
We
Soar
have
High
a
Records.
website, soarhighentertainment.com. And we're on Facebook, Soar High Records.
Yes, we're on
and,
Spotify. Got a
and
playlist
YouTube.
on there for Soar High Records. Just look it up on Spotify. It'll be linked down below. And we're also on Apple Music. We have artists on every platform.
Yes.
On every platform. And we're always trying to drop some new music.
Yes.
We're going to try and drop some new music this weekend.
Cool.
A couple of different things.
Cool.
We've been meaning to get on the No Excuses by Austin Hughes. But
I
we'll
like
start-
Austin Hughes. I
we'll
like
start
his
figuring that
new
one out.
songs. It's beautiful.
They are great.
Our new country artist.
Yes.
That guy's talented, man.
I agree.
Love that guy.
Extremely talented.
Yes.
Extremely.
And then
So-
we have, okay, go ahead.
No, well, when we get to the shows, like we have a show this week,
Yep.
and I'm not really that nervous about it. I haven't really started.
You do really good when you're on the stage.
Well, thank you.
Whether you're emceeing or whether you're performing, either one, you have a lot of energy. You get the crowd excited.
Thank you.
You're really good at it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's my job. I got to go up there and do
Yes, sir.
it right.
Well, it's one of your jobs.
One of, yeah.
You wear a lot of hats.
One of.
A lot of hats.
A lot. But it's okay. We're figuring it out. But I will usually get nervous like maybe just a couple minutes before I get on stage. That's when I'm like, all right, let me get this is how I always do
Okay.
it. Right before I get on stage, and I would go up to Jess and I'll say, will you go get me a drink and hand it to me on stage, please? So I'll go up there, give a little bit of my spiel, introduce myself, do my thing. And then Jess comes up and she's got the drink for me. And I'm like, perfect timing. And I'll grab the drink.
Good.
Next time, I haven't been doing it recently, but I want to. I always a toast before the show starts.
A toast? Cool.
Yeah, something that's where
I like that.
If you got a drink, toast it with me. Cheers.
Cool.
Let's have a good night. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It all kind of plays together, and then all the nervousness goes away, even before the drink gets to me.
Maybe one last comment about the fear thing. I struggled when I was your age with a fear. It was called agoraphobia, and what that agoraphobia is the fear of being in open places.
Mm-hmm.
It probably was a genetic thing, probably a brain disorder, which is what a lot of fears come from. Brain disorders. You're born with it, and so agoraphobia was like, for me, it was like I couldn't even leave my house without feeling like I was going to literally die, and I had to train myself to get in my car and drive a little bit further every day. And I finally got to where my big goal was to be able to drive 70 miles from Springfield, Missouri to Joplin, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. And then my next big goal was to be able to get into an airplane. And it took me years of counseling before I could ever get on an airplane. And then when I finally did, I had to take medication to do it. And eventually I got to where I didn't have to take the meds anymore. But it took a lot of discipline in a long period of time.
Yeah.
But that's probably, a lot of people struggle with fear, not just from like normal stuff, but from brain disorders.
Right.
From, you're born with this problem in the brain, because the brain doesn't understand the difference between what's real and what isn't.
Exactly. Your brain will play tricks on you constantly.
And I only bring this up because I want people to understand that it's not always about, hey, you're a pussy and you shouldn't feel like that. No, a lot of it is just, and you're like having an anxiety attack. It's real in your mind.
Right.
But there's a lot of ways to overcome it, particularly with counseling and certain medications and working out's another big thing. It helped me a lot. But
getting good sleep.
But over the years, I've learned to manage these fears.
Right.
They never completely go away, but you learn to manage them and overcome them to the point where you can live a pretty normal life. So it's a big deal. Fear is a big deal. I just wanted to make that point. Okay. How are we doing on time?
We're at 13 minutes on the dot.
Wow. Okay. Well, you got anything else you want to add about the fear thing? We can get into some other topics.
Well, with fear, again, everyone handles it in a different way.
And if people want to write to us or call us, it's on our website, which is Soar High Personal Development. On our Facebook page, you can go there, and we have a website too, which is soarhighpersonaldevelopment.com, and contact page, and we'll be glad to respond.
Of course. I think with fear, everyone handles it differently. And I think that, there's a right way and a wrong way. There's gray area with fear. I feel as though however you handle it, as long as it's not too extreme, then I think it's okay with me personally. But that's my last thing on fear.
Okay, well, let's talk about, let's do a little of Ron's rant stuff. How about that?
Here comes the mixed bag.
Here comes the mixed bag.
The mixed bag.
So I want to talk about banks.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last few months, I've been going through some crazy stuff with banks. And I just want to kind of just touch base on it. I'm not complaining. I just want to kind of touch base about it. Because if I'm going through it, there's got to be a lot of other people that probably feel the same way that I do. First of all, I think that in general, with only a few exceptions, banks are just pretty much generally greedy. As an example, anytime I use my overdraft in my bank account, they charge $17, and that could be something as simple as like buying a Coke in the machine for $1.75.
Right.
They'll charge me $17 for that debit. I mean, come on, man. That's like not even right. Somebody ought to be watching this sort of thing and paying attention to this sort of thing if they gave a damn about their clients. In my opinion, that's how I would be.
I agree.
But the world has gotten so damn greedy this is kind of what I'm going to now. I'm talking about greedy now. It's ridiculous. And with some of my other notes here, I talked about how people are just they're not friendly anymore. They're not considerate anymore. They're not courteous. There's no courtesy left. I always make it a point to open the door for people. I don't care who it is. A girl, a guy, an old guy, a young guy, a kid. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Extend some friggin' courtesy to people, man.
Right.
What's wrong with people not to do that? Just back to some basic values, for God's sakes.
Right, back to the basics.
And so banks, like I say, they're just so damn greedy with this stuff. So I got really screwed up this year with my credit card processor, where they decided that we're like a big high-risk company. Now, mind you, I've been with this company 10 years, and all of a sudden they decide that we're a high-risk company. I don't owe them a dime. I've paid everything that I was supposed to pay, and suddenly they're going to hold our funds, and they can hold it for 6 months. Now, you think about a small business, what's going to happen to a small business when something like that happens. No consideration, no phone call, no letter, no who can I talk to? It's just black and white. You either like it or you don't like it. It doesn't matter to them. So what are you going to do for 6 months when they tie up your money like that? You got to scramble, man.
Yeah.
You got to figure out. And then how are you going to take credit cards when your business is based on taking money from people with credit cards? I had to scramble to find another credit card processor. Changed my whole way of thinking about how I was going to take cards. And you know what? The company that's doing this to us, they could give a damn.
No, yeah.
That's sad to me. I would never treat a customer that way. I don't care who they are.
I agree.
Ever. So my advice to you guys is, if you're in business for yourself, be very careful about credit cards. You can take them, but I would not recommend taking large amounts. That's where I got in trouble. If you take them, take small amounts. And anything else, get a check or get cash. It's my opinion. Don't borrow any money unless you're buying a house. I know people aren't always going to agree with me on that, but I'm telling you, you're better off to pay as you go and collect as you go.
Right.
Particularly if you're in a small business working out of your home or a small office, you're just better off because banks, they're going to act like you're the best thing in the whole world until you're late on your payment, and then what happens?
You're just the worst.
You're the worst person. You're worse than well done.
Oh, yeah. You're just awful. Just
You're
the
awful.
bane of the bank's existence. And it's like, it's not like they're not going to get it back.
Well, if they have collateral, particularly, they all have
Exactly.
collateral.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And besides
So,
that, they have a certain amount of money they write off anyway. They act like it's the end of the world. Listen, man, all their money is free anyway. Think about it. A bank that has 100,000 depositors, they don't pay anything for that money, right?
Nope.
This is a checking account, and they loan it out and make 5 to 10%. Plus, the biggest money I've read and I've learned is the friggin' overdraft fees and the insufficient fund fees. That's where they make most of their money.
Yep. Yep.
What a racket, man. We're in the wrong business.
No, yeah,
It's pathetic. And listen, when you're down and then they kick you even more, where's that at? How crappy is that?
I know.
Now, I'm not complaining because you know what? I'm not a quitter, and I found a way to get around it and move forward.
Right.
But what about the average guy out there that's going to go out of business because of shit like this? You tell me about those guys. And that happens every day.
Every day.
Very few people make it a business to start with, and all this does is make it 10 times harder.
Harder.
Okay, well, so much for that topic. But look, here's the deal, man. You got to stay the course. You never give up. You got to figure it out. Maybe you got to be late on things, but don't ever give up, man. I don't care how tough it is. I don't care how hard it is. There's always a way if you believe in yourself. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps and keep moving. Am I right, Davin, or
I
wrong?
agree. No, you're right. You're right.
Okay, well, that's one of my rants. Banking. Oh, my God. Banks are something else. I could tell more stories about banks, but I'm not going to get into more stories. That's enough right there.
Yeah, banks are.
Let's talk about. Can't read my writing. I can't read my writing. No, here's a good one. Nicotine. They say people that use nicotine are like 5 times more likely for heart disease and cancer. Of course, that makes sense.
Right.
I also read an article about walking or running. They say improves your chance of no heart disease by like 5 or 10-fold as well. Even as little, they say, as 30 minutes a week.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like running marathons.
No, it's like on average about 10,000 steps a day. If you can get that in, you're considered a healthy.
But here's the problem:
human.
people aren't consistent. You got to be consistent,
Yeah.
guys. You have to do. Look, I have a particular workout at the gym I do every day, and I have friends of mine that go in there and they like do twice what I'm doing, but you know what? They don't do it every day. I would rather do a little bit less and be consistent every single day. That to me is the best formula.
I agree with you.
And I think a lot of people want to be like, look at me, I did this, I did that. But that's not good enough because it's only once in a while. You gotta test the body every single day.
Every single day. Every single day.
Anyway, so much for that, right? I got a lot of notes. We haven't done this in a few weeks.
All right. It's been a while.
Greed. Too much hate, too much greed going on. Back to what I was saying earlier. Show some consideration for people, man.
Everybody thinks
be
it's
nice to
about them.
somebody.
Everybody thinks it's about them.
It's
The
horrible.
whole world revolves around them. and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
man. That's
do you even know who the hell I am? Like,
Come on, man.
I'm not even trying to be like that, but damn, you need to humble yourself. You know, that's just my opinion.
Humility.
Yes.
I don't care how successful you are. Show some friggin' humility.
That's what I'm
Humility,
saying.
man.
That's what I'm saying. Because you never know who's going to be next to you.
I made
you
these
know?
notes. Look your best, feel your best, be your best. 3 B's. Look your best, feel your best, be your best. I know it sounds corny, but I promise you it matters.
Wouldn't it be LFB? Look, feel, and be your
Okay?
best?
LFB.
LFB?
Gotta remember that.
Let's fuck. Oh, wait. No. I'm sorry. My fault.
That's funny. Sex.
Look your best,
You know what?
feel your best, be
You know
your
what?
best.
I think I'm going to get into that topic.
LFB.
Okay.
Yeah, remember we're off the
I got you.
relationships for a while. You know,
Oh my
Ronnie.
gosh!
We gotta hold off on
Shut out
those.
on that for a minute.
Yeah, we gotta hold off on those.
So, what else?
too much
I was
hate mail.
thinking about the addiction thing, like sugar, nicotine, alcohol, marijuana.
Caffeine.
And look at the government now, like in Missouri, now that marijuana is legal. So the argument was, hey, if everybody's going to smoke it, here's the lawmakers, then let's at least make it legal. Let's make some money.
Right.
So they legalize it. So they're making like twice as much money as the guy on the street, from what I understand. It's like basically like twice as expensive. But at the behest of the young kid that gets on marijuana, that starts smoking pot, then he goes to the next drug and the next drug. And I'm not saying everybody does this, but a lot of people graduate from the drugs to the bigger drugs, the harder drugs, the more difficult drugs.
I would say
more addictive drugs.
I would
Sorry,
say, I would
that's just
say-
reality.
I would say that I think that probably about 60% do.
Well, that's 60%.
That's
is a lot of people.
It's a lot of people. No.
And their lives are effing ruined.
I'm
man.
I'm not saying that, you know, it's, I don't know. I agree
Listen,
with what
when you're
saying.
young,
I agree with
Davin,
what you're saying.
you don't see it the way that it's going to be. You don't understand because you don't have the insight yet. I've been through all this. I've seen it my whole life. I know exactly how it turns out. It turns out horrible. Anybody that's chasing drugs and alcohol ends up, I'm telling you, in the deep end.
My mother was
it's
that
terrible.
way, so I understand.
My brother, my father, both of them.
I understand.
And I could go on and on about people around me all day long
Exactly.
in my sphere. But I'll shut up. I'm not going to preach. I'll shut up.
Professional preacher, problem solvers.
Yes.
Right.
So one last little rant, and then we'll kind of close things out.
Okay.
So this is kind of a personal thing. So I go home one night, and in my front yard, there's this effing sign stuck in my yard, and I'm reading. It's a petition, something along the lines of that my house that I have all these limbs piled up in my front yard because we had a storm, and they're like piled up, and so I got a citation saying that I had to remove all this because I'm considered to be like a nuisance in the neighborhood.
What the fuck?
What? Are you kidding me? I've got like a pile like the size of this table, and somebody must have called the city on me, and they came out and they cited the ordinance. So I had 30 days to get all these limbs out of my front yard and removed, or else I was going to get like a big fine and who knows what
Oh
else.
my god.
I mean, really? Is that all people have to do at the city?
Bruh.
Is to run around and call people out because they've got
Cite
a
you on
pile
your
of-
home?
And the article went on to say things like, oh, well, this could be a place for rodents to gather. This could be a place for people to hide and cause security problems in the neighborhood. Really? I mean, it was like the size of this table. I couldn't believe
Who the
it.
hell tied?
And who turned me in? That's another thing. I'm looking at all my neighbors.
Right,
When
right.
I drive out in the morning, I'm like, did you do it? Did you do it?
Did
I'm
you do
looking
it?
at them. You know what? The ones that turned their head, probably the ones that did it. I think I know who did it.
Ooh.
I thought about saying something. I said, nah, I'll just keep my mouth shut. You know what? Because turnabout's fair play.
Yeah.
What goes around,
Comes around.
if that's all people have got to do is just be nosy. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah, let 'em
hurting
be
anybody.
nosy.
Come on,
Let 'em be
man. Now I can see if you had like trash everywhere.
Yeah, and your whole
used cars
yard was
everywhere.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
But like,
Really?
a pile of sticks?
Is that the world we live in now? Is this what's going on where it's like Big Brother everywhere we turn now? How much freedom have we lost?
A Pile of sticks.
Come on, man.
Pile of sticks.
And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. It's like, it might have been twice as big as, I mean, it wasn't like crazy.
Like, it's a pile of sticks,
We
damn
had a
it.
storm.
Like, I just don't understand.
And I hadn't got them removed yet. So I paid somebody to remove them and got them out of there, and that was the end of it.
Right.
How are we doing on time?
People are just interested. We're at 25 minutes.
Oh, I guess that's about it then.
Yeah, pretty much. We've got an exciting podcast coming up, though.
Oh, let's talk about it. Tell me.
Okay, so it'll probably be, hopefully a day after this one comes out, so it'll be our next episode. It'll be, man, what did we even call that one? Oh, the Ron Bass Show.
Yeah.
The Ron Bass Show.
It's really an entertainment show.
Entertainment podcast. We're going to be doing it at our new studio, Southside Springfield.
Yep.
We're very excited. We're excited to show that off. And
Yep. That's where we're going next, right?
Yup.
To do our new podcast in our new studio.
yes, sir. You already know.
The Ron Bass Show, but it's all about bringing on new artists and listening to their music.
Showing off new music.
Showing off new music and talking about the music.
Yeah, and talk about all the things that are going on
Yep.
and happening within the sphere
Yep,
of
yep.
our music. And then we're going to eventually do Soar High After Dark.
So High After
where
Dark's another broadcast.
Me and some of the artists will sit in together and have a conversation. You know, it'll be a little bit more no holds barred than how you and I are.
I got it.
But I like how we've got little tiers. We've got tiers of how everything works. This is our nice subdued podcast, and then the entertainment podcast kind of gets a little bit more out there, and then.
Well, you got to think about really the reason I did this to start with was to help people, to inspire people. Mm-hmm. Your source for inspiration. That's our goal. So really, that's really what this is all about, this particular podcast. Our next podcast is more fun, more entertainment, and that's cool.
Lighthearted.
Lighthearted.
I love that.
But,
It's all about the
but
vibe.
there's times you got to be serious to have it.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to be able to explain people in a way that they can relate based on experience, not like I'm reading out of a book, but based on life's real experience that I've been through, that I've learned how to manage or handle, or like it or not like it, I've learned solutions. Mm-hmm. Is it perfect? Nothing's perfect.
No.
But I guarantee you, if people will listen to our podcast, there's benefit. Mm-hmm. There's benefit.
I agree.
Not that people want to be, feel like they're preached to. I'm not trying to preach, but I want to explain things in a way that will help people. That's my goal. Okay. Any last closing thoughts, and we'll get out of here.
No closing thoughts.
All
I'm glad to be back.
Yes, sir. Mr. Davin Hunley. So, guys, until next time, stay positive.